Dark, suspenseful music plays. The screen fades in from black. The camera zooms in slowly on an abandoned house in the middle of the night. Fog swirls around. A single flickering streetlight casts eerie shadows. Footsteps echo faintly in the background. Suddenly, the camera cuts to a dark silhouette watching from a window. He was a phantom in the night, a predator who stalked the innocent, the Golden State Killer, a mystery that haunted California for over 4 decades. Like, share, subscribe, stay safe in the shadows. Scene transition, cut to archival footage of suburban homes, news headlines, and police sketches. The music transitions into a haunting melody as the narrator continues. It was the late 1970s, a time when California's suburban neighborhoods seemed peaceful, safe. But little did anyone know, a silent terror was creeping into their homes. It started in Sacramento, unsuspecting families waking up to a nightmare they would never forget. The Golden State Killer, also known as the East Area Rapist, began his reign of terror in 1976. He targeted suburban homes, sneaking in through unlocked windows or sliding doors, leaving families paralyzed with fear.
His signature? Meticulous planning, an almost supernatural ability to avoid detection, and a cold, calculated cruelty.
Please, don't hurt us.
Do what I say and I won't.
He would bind his victims with tight knots, blinding them with fabric or towels. Sometimes he would whisper threats, other times he would remain eerily silent as he moved through the house like a shadow. No one knew who he was or how he slipped away unnoticed every time. Then, in 1979, the terror escalated. His crimes turned deadly. He began murdering his victims, ensuring there would be no survivors to tell their story. In 1980, he claimed the lives of Lyman and Charlene Smith in their Ventura home. Lyman, a well-known attorney, and his wife were brutally beaten to death in their bedroom. The killer left the scene without a trace. The fear spread quickly. Residents were locking their doors at night and keeping their lights on, but it wasn't enough to stop him.
We had no idea how he was doing it. He left no forensic evidence. No one ever saw him clearly. We felt powerless to stop him.
The Golden State Killer went dormant in the late 1980s, but the damage was already done. He had terrorized California for over a decade, committing at least 13 murders, over 50 rapes, and hundreds of burglaries. It seemed the case would never be solved. But technology had a surprise in store for the elusive killer. In the early 2000s, DNA technology began to advance, and detectives decided to reopen the case. The investigation led to a breakthrough. In 2018, forensic genealogists used DNA from crime scenes and matched it with a relative's DNA in an online database. The Golden State Killer was finally unmasked. Joseph James DeAngelo, a former police officer, was arrested in 2018. The same man who had eluded police for decades was brought to justice using the very technology he could never have predicted. In 2020, DeAngelo pleaded guilty to multiple charges of murder and sexual assault. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. After all these years, the families of his victims finally got the closure they deserved, but the scars he left behind in California will never fully heal. The Golden State Killer may have been caught, but his story remains a haunting reminder that true evil often lurks in the shadows, waiting,